Hello everyone, welcome to Lockdown Tuesday again. It is, it's already been a week. We have a new bubble tea for this week. Well, actually this is not even new. This is kind of one of my new favorites. It's from Koi Tea. And this one is the green tea macchiato. And it's got cheese on top. Well, I don't know if it's real cheese, but it's got a cheese flavored like foamy thing on top. And it's really delicious. Okay, so I bought this like 4 hours ago, so it was more delicious 4 hours ago. Okay. So, glad that everyone can make it. I hope you guys had an awesome week. Us too. Busy all the time, and I hope that you guys are looking forward to an amazing time together here on Lockdown Tuesday. Now, for those of you who've seen the advertisement, it says, the title today is The Story of Elijah, Spoils of Victory. Okay, so I'm sure that a lot of you are in anticipation of what today's story is going to be about. Okay, so let's begin. Get your lattes, get your espressos, get your coffees, get your bubble teas ready. We're going to begin another wonderful and amazing show. So today's talk, we're going to start with the story of Elijah. Okay, so just a bit of background about Elijah. He's from northern Israel. This is when the kingdom split into two. And he is considered next to Moses, the greatest prophet in all the Old Testament. So Moses was number one, and this dude was number two, okay? This guy achieved and accomplished more than anyone else besides Moses. And his time was interesting because it was a time where there was this crazy king, a crazy wicked king. And the only thing that was happening at that time that was really bad was idol worship. People were rampantly worshiping idols so much that at that time there was like 850 prophets of these idol worshiping idols, okay? So, Elijah was called to get rid of the idols and to defeat the idol worshippers and bring Israel back to God. So, what's going to happen first is, it's kind of, what happens is, there is this prayer of faith that happens. Okay, this is in James chapter 5, verse 17. Prayer of faith is quite amazing because, look what it says here. Elijah was a human being, even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and did not rain on the land for 3.5 years. Okay, guys, this guy prayed in faith for the rain to stop, and the rain stopped for 3.5 years. Like, you got to get that through your heads. Like, that's crazy. Because if you think about it, this guy's controlling the weather. So this guy, in faith, he comes out with faith first, he stops the rain from coming for 3.5 years. And then the next thing he does is he challenges. He challenges all 850 prophets of those idol worshippers at that time, and not only them, including their followers, which was all of Israel. And there's this big challenge on the mountain. And you got to kind of picture this in your head. 850 prophets of Baal plus all the worshippers, which is who? Is basically all of Israel, including the king. And then it's like Elijah by himself on the other side. So it's basically him against the world. And he basically challenged them. He said, okay guys, I got a challenge for you. We're both going to make altars, and whose ever offering that God accepts and fire comes down from heaven and takes the offering, then that is the real God. And what's the penalty? Whoever loses dies. All right. So they both make altars. They both put their sacrifices on it. And the idol worshippers go first. 850 of them screaming and chanting and like hitting themselves in the back and singing and whatever it is. Like, oh, this false god, la 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 la, right? And then, nothing's happening. And Elijah's like, maybe he's sleeping. So you got to speak a little bit louder. Maybe he's deaf. Louder. You got to kind of, come on, do some more. And the whole day, like half a day, they're worshiping this idol. And nothing happens. Then, of course, it's Elijah's turn. Elijah says, all right, it's my turn. He not only makes an altar and puts an offering on it, just to show these people up, he takes like 75 liters of water and pours it constantly, 75 liters over all the offering. And then he prays to God and says, God, it's showtime. Right? It's showtime. Just show them that this is real. You're the one here. And then all of a sudden fire comes down from heaven. And then all the fire, the entire offering's taken up. And everyone's like, oh, and they're all freaking out. And then 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 39, what happens? Everyone basically says, the Lord, He is God. And everyone turns back to God at that time. And there's this great victory on this mountain where one person stands against an entire nation and he wins. And he wins, right? It's kind of like that moment that, you know that moment, I remember when I was here like 10 years ago, there's that badminton player, what's his name? Yi Chong Wei, where this guy defeats Lin Dan in this major comeback. People are freaking out in Malaysia. Oh, we beat the Chinese. Well, both of you are Chinese, but still. Like, we beat the Chinese, right? And then you won the championship. They hoist Li Chong Wei on their shoulders, and he's like a hero and a champion, right? You win the championship. And the next day what happens is, the queen, at that time, was the one that worshipped these idols, and she's pissed. So she's like, all right, is that what you want? All right. So I'm going to kill you now. So by tomorrow, I'm going to make sure you're dead. And then Elijah kind of runs away into the desert, and then he kind of sits down under a tree, and he says, God, I'm so tired. Just kind of take me now. I'm done. Okay? And then he doesn't want to do it anymore. And this is kind of the basic story of what Elijah went through. He started off with this faith, and in this faith he makes a prayer, and with this prayer of faith, he stops the rain for 3.5 years. And then comes this huge challenge. And his challenge is against the entire nation of Israel that's worshiping idols. Huge challenge, great victory. He basically wins the championship of the God Championship. I don't know what you'd call it, right? He wins the God Championship. Everything works out well. The next day, the queen is like, oh, how dare you kill all 850 prophets of mine. I'm going to make sure you die. And then he runs away, and he no longer wants to do anything anymore. He's just tired, okay? So, question I give right now is, how is that relevant to us today? How is that relevant, right? How can this story be relevant to you? It's kind of like it's like a great story. So in life too, of course, just like everything in life, everything we talk about all the time, is in life we go through difficult things or just challenges or different situations, difficulties. They don't all have to be bad, but sometimes there's just challenges. Sometimes there's situations that are not favorable. Sometimes there are real difficulties, and sometimes they're just like these really big issues, like we were fighting with our parents or your wife or your husband or your children, whatever it is. We have all these other different things that happen in life, and what's going to happen is through this story, we're going to show you the good and the bad, the things that are good and the things that are bad of what we should and should not do. Okay? You might have thought that if this guy's the second greatest prophet in all the Bible, that everything he did was good, but I want you to kind of take a look at it step by step. What's the very first thing that matters more than anything else is, number one, is faith and belief. In order for us to solve any issue, circumstance, situation, difficulty, challenge in life, the very first thing that matters more than anything else is you need to have faith, right? I'm not just talking about having faith in God. Like even faith in yourself too, belief in yourself. Without this faith, what happens is you're not even going to start to try to face this challenge. Even Elijah, the very first thing is he has to confront the king and tell him he's wicked and bad and there's going to be no rain. Can you imagine how much faith you need for that? But one thing I do tell you is this. Life is very similar. In life too, the one thing that is an absolute necessity in every single decision we make is actually faith and belief. How? Let me give you an example like marriage. Let's look at marriage. Those of you out there who are married, put your hands up. I can't see you, but you put your hand up. Okay. And those of you who had to choose a major recently, like you have to pick a major or pick a school. Okay. Now here's the thing that's kind of crazy is, do you really need faith for that? And the answer is you do. You need faith in everything. Before you get married, are you 100% sure that's the person? Like you have no doubts, nothing else. You're like, oh, I know this person inside out. And the answer is you don't know them that well. You don't know everything about them. You just know them enough. It's enough for you to take the jump. It's enough for you to have faith, right? When you're choosing your major, you're thinking about all these different things. You research it, and you have enough information, and you have to have faith that this is going to be the major that you want. This is going to be the school that you want. Everything in life takes faith. Everything does. If you had no belief in faith, who would go out to drive? Right? Who would drive? Because you could die. You could get into a car accident. Who would ride a bike? We should just be like the MCO, stay at home all day, just get grab all day. That's what you should do. But because there is some belief and some faith, the first thing that matters more than anything else is when it comes to solving all these challenges and problems, faith is required first. For Elijah, it was the faith in God, right? For myself, of course, it's the faith in God. And some of us might not be faith in God, but it might be faith in yourself, faith in the situation, faith in someone else. It's a basic requirement to start anything in life. The second thing that happened was he challenged. Now, this is not even an ordinary challenge. Think about this. He challenges an entire nation that is against him. They're all worshiping another God, and he's trying to get everyone to believe in the real God. He challenges 850 prophets by himself. And not only on top of that, he challenges the king and the queen and all the people in all of Israel that is worshiping this idol. You see, first, like I said, without faith, you can't challenge. Right? Because you don't have any confidence, right? If you have no faith, you're not going to have like the confidence to actually challenge anything. But the one thing to understand about why challenge is so important is a challenge allows us to grow. A challenge allows us to see our limitations. If you never challenge yourself, you'll never know how far you can go, how great you can be. You'll never know what is your limitation. Say, this is what I can do. The second thing is, after faith, it's about challenge, just like Elijah. And us too, we have to make the challenge. A challenge is a very, very important thing that all of us have to do after this faith. What's the challenge? I challenge to, when it comes to like marriage, the challenge is to become the best husband. The challenge is to always be patient. The challenge is to love no matter what. When it comes to major and your school, the challenge is to get straight A's. The challenge is to graduate, what's that thing called? Something cum laude? I forget, the highest honors. There's all these challenges we have. And the challenges allows us to grow. Challenges allow us to see our limitations. And much more than seeing a limitation, that's a kind of a negative way of seeing it. A positive way of seeing it is a challenge allows us to see how capable we truly are. And what happens is, if you win, it is exhilarating. It is overwhelmingly joyful. And what happens in this is, number 3, what is that? Great victory. In this story, there is a massive victory where one person against the entire country, his offering gets taken up. He overcomes the challenge. Like I said before, it's like winning championship. It's like Lee Chong Wei. It's like, everyone's throwing them up in the air. Whether it's like a basketball championship, volleyball championship, soccer championship, any type of championship, people are going nuts in the crowd because it's such an overwhelming victory. And everyone turns to God at that time. It's kind of like you studying really hard for your final test and you score like 99%. Can you imagine how overjoyed you are? Imagine it's a really big project that's worth like 70% of your grade and you get like 100%. Can you imagine what the thinking in your heart is like? When you're like, I just want to get one more. If I get this test, I get straight A's and I get a scholarship when I go to university. And you get the straight A's and you get the scholarship. Can you imagine how exciting and how ecstatic you'd be in your mind? It's the most amazing thing when you overcome. It's an amazing feeling. And what do you want to do? Well, sometimes you just want to bask in the glory just a little bit longer. But here's where it gets interesting. The interesting point is this last point I give to you is the spoils of victory. So when you hear the word spoils of victory, spoils doesn't mean spoil like rotten. Spoils of victory is like the treasures you get, the spoils. Wow, look at all the things I've gained from getting a scholarship, from getting the straight A's. My parents are happy, my family's happy. For Asian parents, for Asian families, you're like happy because your parents can brag about you to other parents, right? Scholarships, this and that. everyone is happy. You don't have to, you save your parents money. So many great things are happening because you overcame. Now here's where it gets interesting. Spoils of victory could be good things, but if you take the same word and say spoils in a bad way, yeah, there are bad things from victory. Like, whoa. What bad things can happen from a great victory like this? Well, what happened next? If you look at 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 2, remember the queen? You know what she said to him right after? She says, may the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like one of them. So she threatens him. And this queen was just defeated. She just lost all of her prophets. And then she threatens Elijah. So you think to yourself, is like, you just beat her, right? You just won. You overcame 850 prophets. Now everyone's on your side. So you think to yourself, it's like, oh, come on, man, it's so easy. This is nothing compared to the fight with the 850 prophets. It's nothing compared to that. The scale is like this. It's so far apart. It's so easy. But what happens? He runs away. Huh? He actually runs away. Isn't this weird? And then not only does he run away, look in the next verse, in verse 4. Not the next verse, the next verse, right? In 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 4, look what Elijah says to God. He says, came to a broom bush, sat down under it, and he prayed that he might die. Can you imagine that? He's praying to die. Not only is he just praying to die, he said what? No more. God, I quit. I give up. Please, God, no more. I've had enough, Lord. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. Now, you gotta take a look at this. How does that make any sense? He just had the greatest victory ever, destroyed all the prophets of Baal, and then this queen, whose prophets were all destroyed, and the nation turns back to God, threatens with nothing. She's like, I'm going to make sure you die. And he's like, and then he quits. He says, God, kill me now. No more. I'm tired, God. And what we have to understand from this is what? Right after big victories, small things kill us. It happens all the time. Let me give an example. Haven't you ever done something really, really big? Like, let's pretend your mom says, hey, I want you to clean the house. So you know what? You say, you know what? I'm going to clean the house. You go clean up, you vacuum, you mow the lawn, you clean the dishes, you set the tables, you cook, you do all these things. And you just, wow, you did everything. And then your mom says, hey, can you take out the garbage? You're like, come on, just go. Do you know what I just did? You tell me to take out the, and you get so upset and just go to your room and you're angry. Or if you think about this too, right? Not just like cleaning the house. What about if you have this huge project in class, you studied so hard, you got a great grade on it, and then the next day, the next class, your teacher's like, pop quiz. You're going to be like, no. And people will start crying. People start complaining. Why? Why is it after something so big that people always tend to kind of falter, kind of lose themselves? They want to give up, or for us too, we kind of say that too, don't we? We're like, God, kill me now. Kill me now. I've just done this all day. I'm so tired, and I still have 3 more things left. God, kill me now. We do it too. We do it too all the time. It's the small things after the big victories that kill a lot of people. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. The reason is there's something that's faulty in our brain, okay, that you have to understand this really, really well. See, after something big finishes, for some reason in your mind, you think it's over. Like there's nothing else that will happen in life after this. You think, I'm done. I'm done. There's nothing else. And when you think there's an actual ending, when you think it's actually over, what happens? The smallest things will break your back. And that's why they always say that, what breaks the camel's back? There's always a straw that breaks the camel's back. Something so small. Why? The camel reaches the limit. the limit of how much the camel can carry, and you just put one more straw on, it breaks the camel's back, and the camel can't do anything anymore. This is what happens to human beings too. Whenever we go through something really strong and really big, in our minds, we're like so happy and thankful it's over. And then when something small happens, something not even close to what you just overcame, you break down and it's over. That's what happens. The one thing we have to remember is life has constant challenges no matter what. It doesn't end. Like, have you ever thought of this? When you graduated high school, do you think there's no more tests? Like, oh, I graduated high school, I'm so happy. And they're like, all right, time to choose your major. I gotta choose my major, right? All right, I just finished my finals. Like, yep, that's first semester. You have 7 more left. Are you serious? 7 more semesters left? Yep, you're gonna go through this 7 more times. Can't stand it. You finish your university degree, you gotta get a job. Gotta get your resume out there. Gotta get to interviews. People just wanna quit. They want to stop. At work, at play, all these other different things. The interesting thing is, as human beings, the one thing we cannot do is allow ourselves to break after something so great, after reaching a new level. You see, the one thing you have to understand is this. The moment you think you're done is the moment you die. You have to think about it that way. The moment you think you're done is the moment you die. Because the moment you think you're done, which means that I've reached my limit. You're saying to yourself, this is my limitation. But the truth is this, it's not about reaching a limitation. What you've actually done is you've reached a new level and you can go even further. And you can't do it when, like Elijah, at the very end of this great victory, he loses it over something so small. You see, great victories. You know, problems, issues, difficulties, and problems will always come no matter what. I know I'm not here to be depressed. I'm not here to be to make it depressing. But the problems will always be there. Since when has it ever stopped? It hasn't. It hasn't. What is the only thing that remains constant? Problems come and go, issues come and go, challenges come and go, and the only thing that remains constant is you. You're the only thing that remains constant. From life, situation to situation to situation. And what God is saying to you today is, don't let those small things break your back after you have this great victory. It's not that it's your limitation, it is you've reached a new level. And if you reach a new level, it means you can do so much more than you're doing right now. Great victory, you know what that shows you? Great victory should put it in your mind that you are absolutely capable. You are capable of doing something even greater and more. That's what it should be telling you. It shouldn't be, I'm done. You lose yourself when you say you're done. And when you finally think this is the end, this is when you die. And this is why I'm telling all of you guys here today is, this story is a great story until the victory, but after that, you can't lose yourself and you can't think to yourself it's done. And if we understand this and change the perception, that mindset that we have each and every day, then us too, you have to be careful after the great victories. Why? This is when the small things will break you. This is when the small things will take away the joy of that victory. Elijah couldn't even enjoy it. He won, and then then right after the queen's like, gonna kill you. And he goes, and you lose all the glory in the victory because of that one small thing that happens after. Understand, hey, problems come and go. It's just you that remains. And the one thing that you have to change about is the mentality of how you overcome and you realize this is what I'm capable of. It's not about this is my limitation. This is what you're capable of. Why? Because you won. You were victorious, okay? So I hope that everyone understood today's lesson and today's talk about Elijah and the spoils of victory. I really hope that all of you guys here too is, when it's the spoils of victory, there are good things that can happen from victory, but also bad things can happen too. And it's all about, can you control your heart and your mind after you win? Why? Because after you win, that's when a lot of problems happen. Why? Because a lot of times people think they're done, it's finished. But it's not. We move to the next level. Just like every video game. After you reach the boss, you go to the next level. Okay? So I hope everyone enjoyed it today. Those of you who are on Facebook, please keep liking the Lord's Love Church Facebook page. For those of you on Facebook and YouTube, If you want to see more Lockdown Tuesdays videos from the very, very beginning, so we're on already number 17, we're on number 8 right now, 9? We're about 8 or 9 right now. If you want to watch all of them kind of in an organized way with the Bubble Talks too, turn to the Espresso with Sky YouTube page. We're going to put that in the link so that you can subscribe and hit the bell. So whenever there's a live stream, you can see it. This Saturday also, for those of you who are more interested, we're going to put a link in there also. Those of you who want to join us for something deeper. Right? More Bible studies. We're going to do that every Saturday at 1 p.m. We've already got like 10 to 15 people already coming out every week. Come join us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a time where you're going to learn even more deeply about the words of God. Okay? So, what does that mean right now? It means that it's time for me to drink this bubble tea because it's time for question and answer. So go ahead and write your questions, please. I'll give you about 5 seconds. All right. I just spilled all over myself. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So we got questions coming in. First question is from Kenny in JB. This is in Malaysia, okay? Kenny in JB says, after winning a great victory in life, is it okay to take a break? Sometimes people feel tired after overcoming a difficulty, and the answer is yes, of course. Of course you can take a break. Now, why is it, well, but you just said don't, no. What I'm saying is, don't get caught up in the emotional mindset. Like, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore, oh, I'm so tired. No, what can you say? Very reasonably and rationally, it's like, hey, I just did this big thing, and I just need a quick break, right? So you know what? I might not be able to do it today, but you know what? I'll make up for it tomorrow. So what happens is you become very reasonable, and you are actually telling the people, yeah, no problem, don't worry about it. Yeah, hey, thank you so much. I really, really want to do this. I want to help you out. I just finished this big project. I need a quick break. Or you could do it for them and say, man, I had a really, really awesome project I just finished. Wow. And then you could talk to them about it also, and you could do that too. But it's okay to take a break. Yeah, taking a break is not bad. It's when your emotions you're overcome by your emotions, you're overwhelmed by what's going on, and then you quit and you don't want to do anything anymore. That's what I'm talking about more. It's not about you can't take a break. Okay? Good question, Kenny and JB. Let's go to the second question. Second question is from Mavis. Mavis is in Ipoh. All right, Ipoh. What happens if I have belief and faith in myself but don't have great victory? Isn't that really depressing when you lose a big battle? And the answer is, it could be. But honestly, if you think about this too, one of the things that we always forget to see, because this is what media does, like media and movies, they always shorten the whole story. So a lot of times you don't see all the failures, and you don't see all the things that the little battles they have to overcome to get to the great victory. Sometimes we're in these great battles, and sometimes we're in the mini battles getting up there. And what happens is, sometimes we're going to lose battles, but the key point is, it's okay. That's not the last battle. Right? We're going to have these little battles that move up, and sometimes we make we might not make it there, but you got to keep, that's part of making the big victories is you have the small battles there too. So if you look at all the other big stories of people who are successful in life, none of them have like a story like, hey, I was perfect from the beginning, never made a mistake, $1 million when I was 3 years old. I can tell the stock market inside out when I was 4.5. Like, no one does that, right? Everyone is step by step overcoming victory after victory after victory. And what happens is, I'm going to tell you this, I want you to be very positive about this, Mavis. Even if you don't win, there is still a lesson to be learned. There's still information for you to collect why you didn't win or what you should do next. And that's why as long as you learn, there is something you got to take out of it. Okay? So don't just think that, oh, I lost, so then there's nothing to take out of it. No. Life is try, fail, learn. And then you do it over again. Try, fail, learn. And you keep doing it over and over again until you have victory. Okay? Thanks so much, Mavis. Let's go to Joyce in KL. Joyce in KL, what do you say here? Joyce in KL says, just the thought that problems and challenges don't end tires me to even go on. What should I do if I have such negative thoughts? Okay, so the thing you have to understand to yourself is this. you shouldn't want it to end. You shouldn't. The moment it ends is the moment you die. That's what it is. Like, put it this way. The good question that might help us all is, it's okay to take breaks. It's okay. Right? It is. Take a break. It's fine. Right? Don't lose your mind, but take a break. Right? Take a break, recover yourself, and you go in again. Why? In a nutshell, like if you miniaturize everything, that's what actually happens in life every day. You go to work, you start the big struggle, and going over the difficulties in life of work, you finish work, you're happy. You overcame your day of work. You go home, you eat, you watch a movie, whatever it is, you get some sleep, and then what happens the next day? You start all over again. You go to work again. And the thing you have to understand is, the reason why it's so great to have an ending of a day and then restarting it is, you can always make your day better than the day before. Remember, the point is there ever an end? And the answer is, there is an end. There is. Eventually, there will come a time where you will no longer have that many challenges, or there comes a time when you actually die and it's over, right? And you're like, that sounds so depressing, and the answer is, it's not. Life in itself, I tell you this, people want to be comfortable, right? But the interesting thing is, people hate being idle. They hate it. I tried it myself. I tried to sleep as many days as I could. I went 4 days of sleeping and not doing anything, and then eventually just dying of boredom or not having anything in life. Take it step by step, one challenge at a time. And every challenge you have, Joyce, you take the challenge, you overcome it, or you learn from it. Take a deep breath. What do? You know what? I gotta learn from this again. Ultimately, in the end, it's about you becoming better. Ultimately, in the end, right, you can't look at these difficulties as like you're destroyed from them. No. Everything that you see in life is just tell me how inspiring it is when you see someone overcome the the worst difficulties, no arms, no legs, but learns how to swim. You're like, whoa, that's so inspiring, right? People get inspired by these things. And the one thing I can tell you now is, human beings, when you're victorious, there is joy. There's joy, right? Don't stop. The reason why we quit is because you stop. And when you stop, you feel like you're a failure because you have nothing to show. You can't stop. You feel the spoils of victory is like this joy and this amazing feeling you get is when you win. But I tell you now, is if you always quit in the middle, you never get that feeling. And what happens if you always quit in the middle, you always feel like you've done nothing. And the answer is, you actually haven't if you don't even complete it. You have to complete and move forward, complete and move forward. When you do this, you begin to feel what it's like to be victorious in all these small things in life. And if I were you and you're a little bit negative, one thing I do suggest for you with these negative thoughts is, you have to start with small things, small victories. Small things. Like, a lot of people, like if you look on the internet, they say the smallest victory you can have from the beginning of the day is making your bed. It's a victory. You get a shot of dopamine in your mind because you completed something already. You got to complete things in the day, right? And when you complete these things, it actually helps you to overcome the negative thoughts. You just got to keep doing these small things at a time, have these little victories constantly, and it helps you to gain confidence and you overcome your negative thoughts. So Joyce, I do understand though, sometimes it's really, really hard. But you can't look at it from the big, like, oh my gosh, nothing worked out, I failed. But during this battle and this challenge, you had all these little victories, right? It wasn't all losses. You had all these little victories that led up. Didn't work, try again, right? So if you have any more questions, Joyce, you can leave some more questions in there because, I completely understand what it's like, but I probably want to talk to you a little bit more too. All right, let's go to the next one. Yan Lan. Yan Lan in PJ. Yan La or Yan Lan? Lan. Yan Lan says, how can we overcome our problems in life? So that's a big question. And it really depends on what problems you have. But I'll tell you that most of your problems, one of the reasons why it's overwhelming is because you don't split them up into smaller problems, right? You want to break up your problems into small goals, right? Small goals one at a time. It's almost like if you have, how do I graduate? Oh no, 4 years and 55 tests and like 200 classes. Oh my gosh, it's too much. No, you break it down into semesters, you break it down into weeks, and you take it one step at a time. So one of the ways we can do it, if you look at it too big, it's like this. Imagine in life you're like this. Imagine when you're born, God comes to you and says, hey, see this mountain of food? You're going to eat that in your lifetime. And you're going to be like, oh no, it's just too much, God. Oh, how can I eat a mountain of food? And that's why God doesn't do that. What does he do? He says, hey, breakfast. Oh man, I'm hungry. Oh yeah, breakfast. And you eat your breakfast. And he's like, hey, oh, lunch. Oh, I've been starving. Okay, here, I'm going to have lunch, right? You take it one meal at a time, right? And when you have these problems in life, you want to break up your problems. You break the problems up into little sections, and you want to face them bit by bit by bit. Are you going to win all your problems? Are you going to overcome every problem? No, you're not. That's just a normal part of life. But you have to realize is, yeah, even though those things happen, even if you fail a test, do you think your life is over, really? No. Like, people are just over dramatic. You fail a test, you take it again. Oh no, but what about all that money? Yeah, you do have to pay more money, but it's not the end of the world. It's not. It's not the end of the world. Even if you get fired from your job, what, does that mean you can never work again? No, you can work again. And sometimes you can find even a better job, okay? So, it's all about, this mindset. The healthy mentality and mindset is good, and especially like, who was that before? Was it Mavis, the one that was kind of negative? They said negative thoughts? Joyce, yeah, Joyce. Also, one good thing I really suggest for you is you need to have some really good positive people around you. Positive people around you, positivity is very, very contagious, okay? Let's go to Desmond. Desmond in KL. Desmond says, I find it hard to have faith and confidence when I'm not in control of things. And the answer is, that is true. But you have to understand something is, you cannot think you have control. Like, you already answered your question. I'm not in control of things. And the answer is, yeah, the things you're not in control of, you can't do anything about. But you have to take control of the things you are in control of. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Yes. Can you have faith and confidence in things I have no control of, like who's going to hire me? And the answer is no. Why? Because it's not you. But if you have expectation that I need control of everything, we'd have confidence in very, very few things. Your confidence should be, oh, I'm capable. My confidence is, okay, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, right? I have faith and confidence, but what about things I don't have control in? You don't have control, and that is a reality you have to acknowledge. Hey, I can't control that, but I can control this. If you look at all the successful people, they really don't care about the things they don't control, but they do their best for the things that they can. The problem we do is, there's things we can't control, we get so discouraged, and what do? We don't do anything at all, and we're just like, I'm just not going to do anything. And that's like Elijah, who just says, kill me now, I don't want to do anything else. Don't worry about the things you can't control. Why? Because you can't control it. But have faith and confidence in the things you can control, right? And that's something you can do. Don't worry about the things you can, right? And once you acknowledge this, it's fine, right? You acknowledge it. Like, I don't control that, but I do control this. I do control effort. I do control how well I do. Yeah. Because if you can control your grades, how well you do with your grades, and how much you study, that will give you a better chance with the things you can't control, right? It does. If you have straight A's constantly, it will give you control of the things that you can't, but it gives you a much better shot of it, right? If you work harder than everyone else, it'll give you a better chance to the things you can't control. Have faith and confidence in the things you can. And the things you can't, for myself, I pray. Because I can't control it. So I pray and I say, God, I have no control over this. Like what? I always pray before these broadcasts, like, God, I can't control electricity or the Wi-Fi or Facebook or YouTube. God, please, you got to help me out with this because I can't control it. And I leave that to God. But what can I control is what I prepare, right? What I study. Okay? Thank you so much, Desmond. Let's go to Jing Zong in Kajang. Kajang has what good food there? Satay, and I had that 2 days ago. I got to go to Kajang for some satay. Either way, how can I quickly get myself out from the emotion of being a failure? Okay, so emotions. Do you know what the one thing that emotions need? It's actually time. Time is the number one thing emotions need. And that's why, for one thing is, when you get emotional, you got to give yourself time. And if you want to shorten that time, there's two things you can do really well. Number one is breathing exercises. I'm dead serious about this. You got to control your heart rate. Breathe slowly, deeply in and out, and you want to get yourself at a heart rate or breathing 8 times per minute. You want to get yourself to that level of breathing deeply 8 times per minute, slow your heart rate, and get yourself to calm down, right? The second thing I really suggest is, if you're a person of faith, you got to pray, and if you're a person not of faith, then meditate. Because that also begins to ignite the prefrontal cortex, and that's the thing that's shutting off when you're emotional. If you want to speed in the time, I would definitely suggest number one is breathing exercises, and number two is meditate or pray. And this is actually proven scientifically to bring you back to that rational and reasonable state. Okay? So those are two exercises you can really do, but overall you need time. Which means I really suggest do not make any decisions in that state. Don't say, kill me now, God. Right, there's no point, right? You want to kind of give it some time, calm yourself down, think reasonably and rationally, and then, right, then you can do the next step. Okay? Thank you, Jingzong. Let's go to Shining Star. Shining Star, what should we do to strengthen our faith and belief? Okay, great question. What can you do to strengthen your faith and belief? How do I strengthen it, right? Well, faith is, one thing I want you to tell you is, faith is not blind. It's not something like, I don't know anything, I'm just going to do it. That is not faith. You gotta understand this, that is not faith. Just like we talked about marriage, you need to have enough information to take the leap of faith. It's not no information and just go out of faith. You need to, like for instance, when it comes to like faith and belief, like say in God, then you need to learn about God. Then you need to pray to God. Then you need to do the things that give you enough information so you can have faith. Faith is not something that is just, boom, I got faith now. It's not like that at all. Faith is you have enough information till this point for you to take the leap of faith. Just like marriage, you know each other to a certain point where it's enough for you to take the leap of faith. Right? So don't think that it's a blind thing. It is something that you get yourself when it's enough. You'll never get 100%, but at one point it is enough where your faith is there and you can believe, say, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay? All right, Nick in Brisbane. Oh, cool. Nick in Brisbane. Brisbane in Australia. Great. It says, I feel like I have 3 days where I'm raising my level and 2 days when I flatline. How can I increase this cycle? Okay, I'm going to tell you this amazing thing about what you're talking about right now is that is a great cycle. That is actually an amazing cycle to go 3 days growing, raising your level, and 2 days flatlining. What you have to think to yourself is, when you're raising your level, like I said, people need breaks. People need time to, and I'm going to use this word, is decompress or debrief yourself of what just happened over the last 3 days. You do. You need that time. Because that's part of growth, is looking back and saying, wow, how did I grow? What was different? Wow, this is great. You need a time to decompress. You need a time to debrief yourself and say, oh, what happened these last? But that's an amazing cycle. I'm going to say, Nick, a lot of people don't even have that. A lot of people are like 1 and 2, 1 and 2. 1 day up, 2 days down. 1 day up, 3 days down. If you're going 3 days and 2, that's amazing. I say that's great. Use that time of flatlining, not as a time of flatlining, but as a time of reflection and a time of looking back at what did I just do over the last 3 days? What did I do? That's amazing. I'm going to say that is really, really amazing. Okay? Great. That's great. Increasing your cycle, you just got to change your mentality of what flatlining is. Flatlining is not flatlining. In that case, I would say use it as a time of reflection instead. Let's go to Lo Chang Jin. I think this is the last question. Lo Chang Jin in, not sure. I'm going to call you LCJ because it's a little bit hard for me. LCJ says, I can't wake up early for service. How can I overcome this big battle because I want to make it a habit? Cool. Okay. You want to tell me, I'll tell you probably 2 major reasons why people can't wake up early, just in life in general. Number 1 is you're used to waking up really late. So your body's used to that type of cycle. The second reason is you just sleep too late. That's usually it. Let's just be honest. Last night I went to sleep past 2 a.m. Okay? I had a hard time waking up. I woke up, but I had a hard time. I woke up at 4:30, hard time. Just like, I was like a dog, like just coming out of the womb. I was like, oh, I'm so tired. Why? I went to sleep at 2:30. How can I expect to be like coherent? How can I expect to be even that like awake if I've only had like an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep? Right? So you have to think to yourself first, I want you to think just very physically, in your life, have you been living your life where you always wake up at 10 a.m.? You're going to have a hard time waking up at 5 or 6 or even 7 or even 8, you'll have a hard time, right? Second thing is, if you're already sleeping too late, you're not going to wake up early. You can't really have best of both worlds. God, you know when you say this, people are like this, man, God, I want to like not work ever, but make $1 million a year. Like, people want the best of both worlds. Do nothing and make tons of money. It doesn't work that way, right? For every action, there's a reaction. If you go to sleep at 2, you're not going to wake up early. If you go to sleep at 1, you're not going to wake up early. If you really want to wake up early, you have to change your habits of when you sleep. And I would say that if you're someone who has a very, very hard time waking up, I would do it step by step. If you're used to waking up at 8:30, start waking up at 8 first. Just wake up at 8, then wake up at 8:15, then wake up at 7:45, then wake up at 7:15, and just gradually bring yourself to, and I would do it, usually I would do it in 3-week increments, every 21 days, just kind of bring it back, until you get to a place that you want to be, right? Your body, some people's bodies like the gradual, and some people just want that right away, right? For me, my mindset's very different than a lot of people. Like, if I'm going to sleep at 11 a.m., like waking up at 11 a.m., if someone tells me to wake up 4, I'm just going to wake up at 4. That's just me. Some people like it gradual, some people like it just super fast and strong, okay? So it is a big battle, and it depends on how you sleep, your sleeping patterns, and also the time you sleep. And if you want to work on it bit by bit, bring your sleeping time back and bring your waking up time back. Sleeping time back, waking up time back, right? And that's probably going to be the easiest way for you to do it, and I do it in 3-week increments, okay? I hope that helped out, LCJ. Cool. All right, well, that leads to the last question for today. I hope you guys had a wonderful time here on the Lockdown Tuesday. We're going to meet you again next week. Everyone, enjoy your bubble tea and have a great time, and see you again next week. Bye-bye.